I don't know who was at my door that night. I don't know what they wanted. And I don't know why they left when they did. What I do know is this. Someone stood on my porch for almost 40 minutes. And at some point during those 40 minutes, I made a sound. And they heard me. This happened about 8 months ago. I just moved into a small rental house at the end of a cul-de-sac outside of Columbus. Quiet neighborhood, older couples, young families. The kind of place where nothing ever happens. I worked remotely, so I spent most of my time alone in that house. I liked it that way. It was predictable. The night it happened was a Thursday. I remember because I'd ordered takeout earlier, and the delivery driver had trouble finding the house. He called me twice. That detail matters later. I went to bed around 11. I wasn't fully asleep yet, just that in-between state where you're aware of sounds but not really processing them. When I heard the first knock. 3 knocks. Slow. Deliberate. I opened my eyes and checked my phone. 12:47 a.m. I told myself I imagined it. A branch. A raccoon. Something hitting the siding. Then it happened again. 3 knocks. Same rhythm. Same weight. I sat up this time. My bedroom was at the back of the house, and the front door was maybe 30 feet away down a short hallway. I could see the faint glow of the porch light through the living room window. I didn't move. A minute passed, then 2. Then, the knocking came again. I got out of bed slowly, keeping my footsteps light. I stopped at the edge of the hallway. From there, I could see the front door, but not the small window beside it. The porch light was on. I always left it on. Another knock. This time just 2. Softer. Almost polite. I thought about the delivery driver. A neighbor needing help. Someone lost. But it was almost 1 in the morning, and the knocks didn't feel urgent. They felt patient. I stepped closer to the door, close enough to see the shadow beneath it. Someone was standing on my porch. I could see the outline of their feet through the gap at the bottom of the door. They weren't moving. I stood there watching that shadow. They didn't shift their weight, didn't knock again. They just stood there. My phone was still in my hand. I thought about calling the police, but I didn't know what I'd say. They hadn't tried to break in. They hadn't said anything. They were just there. I decided to look through the peephole. I took one more step forward, and the floor creaked. It was barely a sound, something you'd never notice during the day. But the shadow moved. Not away from the door, toward it. The feet shifted closer, and then I heard something I'll never forget. A slow exhale, right against the door. I froze. I stopped breathing. Then the knocking started again, but not on the door. It was on the window beside it. 3 knocks. Slow. Calm. They knew I was there. I backed away down the hallway. Didn't run. Just walked. I locked myself in my bedroom and sat on the floor, listening. The knocking continued. Sometimes the door, sometimes the window. Once, I swear, the side of the house near my bedroom. Around 1:30 a.m., it stopped. I waited another hour before I moved. The porch was empty. No footprints. No marks. Nothing. Later, I checked my doorbell camera footage. I'd installed it the week before. The file from that night was corrupted. The screen was black. From 12:40 a.m. to 2:15. Before that window, it worked fine. After it, it worked fine too. I moved out 2 months later. I tell people it was because the lease was ending, but I still think about that night. The knock. The shadow beneath the door. And that moment when the floor creaked. when the shadow moved closer, and the breath against the door. They heard me, and they stayed anyway.